Welcome to the Game Changer, Prep Your Business for Google Search Revolution webinar. I am Karolina Slotsovaitė, APG Media's digital marketing expert and your host for today's event. We have an exciting session planned for you filled with valuable insights and strategies to navigate the ever-changing world of search. Before we dive in, I want to introduce our esteemed guest and my colleague, SEO expert, Povilas Peseckas. With a proven track record in the field, Povilas brings a wealth of knowledge and expertise that will empower you to maximize the impact of Google Search generative experience on your business. So without further ado, let's get started.
Awesome. Thanks, Karolina, for this introduction. Hello, everyone. Nice to see you. Okay, well, as Karolina mentioned, my name is Povilas, APG Media as well. And I was brought here today to have what I think is a very important discussion related to the announcement that Google made. At the time of this recording, it was something like a month and a half ago, May 10th, 2023, in which Google announced their plans for new AI technology being integrated directly into search results in like a new experience. And so I thought this could be something that could really impact the field of SEO and the way that people behave on the internet in general. And I think a lot of people that do SEO, whether as a consultant, an agency, or an online business that just depend on SEO as an important marketing channel, it's an important topic to talk about. So to start off, some of you watching might not necessarily be familiar with the broad context that we have about the announcement Google made about exactly what's happening with AI in general, why it's important, and why it's important that we understand how this new artificial intelligence works. So for those listening, I will do my best to explain what's on the screen. But with that said, I'm going to sort of bring everybody up to speed here. So during the news, Google talked about integrating AI into their Google search experience. They gave examples, and we're going to go in depth into some of the examples that Google gave. And then later, we will look at what people have observed already as well. But one really quick example is if we were to search what planet is most similar to Earth, this is what a search results page would look like in the new era of what they call generative AI. It's a much richer experience, very different than maybe a snippet of text in a list of links, right? And so what we're going to be talking about is exactly what we can learn from Google's announcement about search generative experience. And then also bringing people up to speed in a sort of how did we get to this point, which is important to understand. So quick background, Google's been getting their feet wet with pulling information directly into search results without people ever leaving Google. The earliest examples I can find, and I'm not sure on the timeline here, but I found examples as far back as 2011 of people typing in super basic facts, that super common knowledge, such as population of the city. I found examples in 2012 where if you Google a famous thing, Google might pull in some, let's say a description, in this case, of what the Taj Mahal is. Instead of people having to click through to a Wikipedia page, getting a quick little answer of what the heck Taj Mahal is just useful for people. And from there, Google has more and more aggressively wanted to keep people on Google.com, not leaving their app, not leaving their website, getting the answers and the information they want, while also playing nice with the producers of content. What do I mean by that is they're simply just pulling information from across the web, from your websites as well, right? And SEOs and web publishers have had to play nice because they either help Google provide this information and hopefully get some of the clicks back to their websites, or they don't play ball. And that means not showing up in Google. And that is kind of a big detrimental part of growing a business in the internet age. So anyways, Google's been slowly creeping into showing more and more information directly in their search results page. And that leads us to now. So the term that Google's using to explain this whole new big change is generative AI. That is a term that is their way of explaining things, but a term that you should be familiar with is a more industry term, is what's known as a large language model. So ChatGPT, if you've heard of it, if you have heard of it, you know what a large language model is. It's the most popular one. It's the most pioneering one, right? But it's important to know that there's a bunch out there, and it's not a new feature. Well, in the screenshots, in the presentation, there are 4 different ones, but there are tons of them being built, and it's important to understand exactly what they are and why they are different. So essentially, new technology was developed. Ironically, it was Google that put out a paper in 2017 that talked about a new way of essentially learning, a new way for computers to learn just like brains. And that opened up a whole new technological revolution. So to think about how that works and what generative AI is doing is to think about your own brain. And imagine your own brain, and you're learning, right? You're learning information from a bunch of different places, and when you're asked a question, you're usually not pulling it from one file in your brain. Usually you're taking all this information you've learned, all these different experiences about all these different subjects. If you ask any long phrase question, you have to understand what each one of those words means. You need to understand what context those words are used in. And so what this technology is doing, being able to consume large amounts of information and to understand it really like a human brain does. It's happening in images, it's happening in all kinds of different content, not only text. For example, AI can create hundreds of creatives with very simple prompt input. So we're going to answer a few questions. What the hell search generative experience is? So Google says that it is an early step in transforming the search experience with generative AI. When using SGE, people will notice their search results page with familiar web results organized in a new way to help them get more from a single search. As well as Google gave a simple explanation of how SGE works. So when appropriate, this is important to note, when appropriate, so not always, SGE will show an AI-powered snapshot to help people quickly get an overview with factors to consider and a helpful answer of relevant insights and information. So basically this is how it looks, right? You have a long query, you get a generative AI snapshot answer with information. You have some clicks on some links, and you can ask like follow-up questions. And again, let's look at live examples of what Google showed in their first video when announcing SGE. They actually tried very hard to make it seem very cool, new age, and like Gen Z. But personally, as an SEO, what I really wanted to know is what do these changes actually look like? So coming back to the first example, just imagine asking an open-ended question like which planet is most similar to Earth, and some really key differences in this screenshot that you might notice is instead of just a snippet of information that gives you an answer, they're giving much richer information. They're giving pictures of those planets. Jumping to another example, previously, if you Googled for what are good plants to use in a dark dorm room, it was just text. It was maybe like 5 different plants and just text. In this new SGE, you've got pictures of each plant, you've got facts of each plant in a super formatted way, in a format that is basically exactly what you would look for in an article that just shows organized information, very presentable, and whatnot. A silly example they threw in there is using generative AI to write a poem from scratch. So as I mentioned, like these AIs analyze the history of all poems written, right, on the internet. They understand sort of what a poem is, what makes a poem, and what doesn't, and gives you this subject. And in this case, it came up with a totally made up poem about somebody's mischievous cat, and just provides that information directly in Google. Other examples I found, if you are asking Google for a good lunch place and you narrow it down to 2 different ones, 2 different restaurants, you can have a follow-up prompt to Google where you can say, okay, those 2 restaurants sound good, but how does it compare to a third restaurant? And being able to pull in information about a third restaurant and being able to compare all these things side by side with something as simple as a text-based search is really amazing. Like pulling in photos of restaurants, the reviews, what people thought, it's just going to be a much more interactive experience, where instead of just going to doing a Google search, you're just doing a lot more. You're doing a lot more on the Google website, on the Google app. So you've got follow-up questions. You're interacting with the information in a much greater way. So we can have some conclusions. So with SGE, people will be able to ask entirely new types of questions that you never thought search could answer. So very long tail, very specific, like with the planet, like with the poem, right? Create a poem. Then you can quickly get the lay of the land on a topic with links to relevant results to explore further. So on the right, you had the organic links, right? Then third, you can ask follow-up questions naturally in a new conversational mode, like with the restaurants, and get a lot more done easily, like generating creative ideas and drafts right in the search, like with the poem example. So another example they gave in their video, if you Google Bluetooth speaker for a pool party, they show exactly what are the things that you should be taking into account when it comes to choosing a Bluetooth speaker for a pool party on Google search results page, right? Again, in the past, if you did search, if you did this exact search, you would just maybe get like a text list from a major publication that did these reviews that just showed you like their top 5 picks. In this case, they're not just showing you their top 5 picks, they're actually, Google's giving you direct links to those purchases. They're giving you additional information about each of those products. They're giving you the decision-making information on how to choose directly in search results.
Pavli, so does Google's AI search generate information like ChatGPT does? Where does this information come from? Isn't this in any way similar to featured snippets?
Thank you, Carolina. So the generative AI is not compiling all this information to present on a search results page from one place, which historically, with featured snippets, when you ask a question, you get an answer from one specific website, one specific place, and that specifically answered that type of question. In this new case, because it's pulling information, like I mentioned, the large language models, they're pulling information from, let's say, 5 or 10 different places. There isn't exactly one source for this information. Although, as I mentioned, there will be on the right free organic results that AI will recommend, and we can call them AI snapshot carousels. And so these free snapshots, excuse me, these free snapshots will be the websites where the generative AI answer took various pieces of content from. So this is part of why publishers and the SEOs and businesses in general are kind of worried, although it could lead to new opportunities as well.
Okay, so what do you need to do to get in like these organic results the generative AI answers provide?
Yeah, great question. I was just about to get into that. So when testing SGE, people learned that the sites shown in the generative AI snapshot carousel, I mean, the organic links are not the same links as shown in the classic search results, not always. You would think that Google forms those AI answers out of the top, let's say, 3 or the top 5 organic search results, but that's not the case. So assuming AI snapshot carousels get the most organic clicks, but Google doesn't pick the best ranking sites organically, we need to reevaluate what signals Google actually uses to put the carousel together. So there will be a lot of opportunities for lower ranking websites to be in those organic snapshots. So here is a theory. For taking another example into the case. So for the keyword corporate credit card, the first result in the AI snapshot carousel, which is, if you can see, expense anywhere, which actually ranks in the third page of the classic organic search results. Again, ranking at the top of classic web search doesn't mean you rank in the AI snapshot carousel. So what seems to make expense anywhere the first carousel result is its unique angle. It's the only result highlighting the risks of corporate credit cards. So SGE basically structures the AI answer around risks and benefits in this specific case, pros and cons. So corroboration shows how different sites contribute with pieces of information in the final AI answer. You can actually see which source you can actually see which text AI took from which source, right? So only expense anywhere highlights the risks of corporate credit cards, and it's unclear. It's unclear to me why SGE highlights benefits and risks instead of just other aspects like important criteria when choosing a corporate credit card. But I guess it just wants like pros and cons. But again, so this could be a very good opportunity for businesses that rank in like the second, third, or fourth page on Google results. If they have a unique answer to what the AI snapshot is actually looking for, they can be in the first place of the carousel AI snapshot results. So ranking AI answers is a matter of firstly of understanding the different angles the search generative experience covers, and secondly, answering them explicitly in your content, like in this case. Yeah.
So how will this affect businesses on Google search?
So firstly, every query is different. Every query is different, and we can't really determine the exact effect this will have on specific businesses. But from what we can see, from some of the queries, AI Snapshot Carousel features page 1 rankings. So ranking top results in the top 5 on page 1 will still be priority. But for some AI generated answers, it features, as I mentioned, pages, websites on page 2, 3, or higher on Google. So if the content is what the AI is looking for, in this case, it could be an opportunity, again, for lower ranking websites to be featured in SGE results to drive exposure, to drive impressions, to drive clicks to their websites. But again, this is very early. Very early to say. This SGE experience could change over the few months, the following months. So I think it's still too early to say, but from what we can see now, these are the conclusions. Yeah. So speaking about e-commerce, there's a realization that AI answers in e-commerce are very, very aggressive, are the most aggressive. For product queries like transactional intent searches, for example, like summer shirts for men, Google shows 2 rows of 7 products on desktop and 2 products on mobile. So how Google decides which products to show isn't clear at this point. They don't overlap with products in the organic shopping carousel on the page. It's very, very hard to determine. So, but Google shows a lot of products for these transactional intent searches. For other queries like standing desk, Google shows specific product recommendations based on attributes like good for home office, right? Good for tall people, and good for gaming. So Google seems to pull these product attributes from written reviews on websites, which is quite stunning because Google turns unstructured data into structured data. So another realization is that product, local, and brand reviews are gaining significant importance for AI results. If you can see, this right sidebar pops up when you click on a product in the AI snapshot carousel. It features different retailers for the same product, which means a retailer offering a lower price can beat another retailer with better reviews or nicer snippets. So down the road, I expect Google to offer sponsored spots in this list as well and monetize product searches further. So yeah, that's another topic that Google can monetize.
Yeah, good news for us marketers. So Google search ads probably are not disappearing. They will be integrated in the other way in this search generative experience. But as the average SEO expert or as the average online business that takes organic traffic seriously as an important traffic source, how should we take these changes that Google seems to want to make at some point the future?
Yeah, I think it's going to impact everybody, but good news that it's not going to be all at once. It's going to take a lot of time. Right now, these features aren't available in Google. They're in testing at the moment, and only some of the people that sign up can test, and only for English queries at the moment. So again, for example, Google's Gmail was announced in 2004 and didn't exit beta until 2009. So that's 5 years. Of course, nowadays things are moving a lot faster, but that is exactly why it will not sneak up on us, and every business will have time to adjust. It's important to follow the news regarding these search generative experience changes, and most likely the first industry that will see big changes are English queries, right? So US, UK markets, other businesses that target those markets. Other languages may need more testing, may need more information for the large language model to actually be good enough to answer most of the queries by people. But these are just speculations. Maybe Google will actually roll out in all languages at once, and if we talk about SEO will still exist because businesses exist, right? And businesses need to be found on search engines. And vice versa. I mean, businesses will still need SEOs because they want their business to be found.
Totally agree.
Yeah, so the thing is, as I mentioned before, this is still very early testing, and most of the features will change and be refined over time. This could take a few months, this could take longer, this could maybe be a little bit sooner. What's important is to monitor the situation, as you all are doing by watching or listening to this webinar. High five. So moving forward with some more examples, let's discuss how useful these AI snapshots are. So let's jump to broader informational queries like shoulder workout. The search generative experience result shows directly a list of exercises. So my initial reaction is to click on them to see more about each exercise, each routine, but they're not clickable. There's a carousel with a mix of rather repetitive guides and videos listed at the right, the organic carousel, right? Since many of which they're ranked in the top results below anyway, it feels like they're trying to squeeze the whole first page of organic results into one generated answer by AI. So it's not very useful. For some informational queries, it's not very useful. The information is a little bit too narrow, a little bit too squeezed. You want to find out more, but you can't even click on the actual things. So for other simple informational queries, like how to teach a dog to roll over, the SGE is pretty much a mega featured snippet that would satisfy the more simple queries. I can definitely see how this will hurt the traffic of the top ranked maybe articles of how-to guides below. Many of these top-ranked guides are again squeezed in the AI snapshot carousel on the right. So, which at least, I mean, I'm not sure how people will interact with these organic results on the right. Will they click or will they not click? But personally, I get enough information in the AI snapshot as it is. So the answer is pretty useful, and I wouldn't click in these scenarios. So I think some of informational queries will lose clicks, and only time will tell how much. For commercial queries like Caribbean cruise, which is ranked in the top positions by the cruise line with the name, a mix of cruise lines, relevant destination pages, and travel cruise sites listings with offers. The choice to feature in the SGE a rather informational summary about the topic instead of a more commercial oriented one is rather weird and not so useful. I mean, people looking for Caribbean cruise usually want to see some actually cruise, some offers, some pricing, and the AI snapshot shows just a lot of informational resources on the right in these free AI snapshot carousels, organic results. And they're not ranking in the top positions, right? Because by this search, people want to see pricing, they want to see offers. So again, the actual query may not be useful, like the generated AI answer is not very useful, but again, this is an opportunity for such queries. Maybe some websites that are on the right are ranking on page 2, 3, 4, 5. It could be a possibility to get some clicks in the AI generated answer. Another answer for another query like mass payout solutions, ranked by mostly commercially focused pages featuring solutions. The SGE again provides the concept of what it is, has a list of top options, which are again not clickable. So the first thing I try to do when I see a list like this is click, but it's not clickable. So maybe this will change for sure. I think they will change this. But then on the right-hand carousel, they squeeze many of the same pages they rank below anyway. So the carousel is very repetitive and not very intuitive. Also, we can see that Google is experimenting with the placement of ads on the search engine results page. In some cases, it comes before the AI, and in some cases after. Again, everything might change. Ads could be placed inside the AI generated snapshot, as I mentioned before, on the products listings. And so this is a big one. If you're an e-commerce or you're an SEO that does e-commerce for established retailers, in Lithuania, an example could be Audimas brand. If you're in e-commerce, you should definitely hear about this. So established brands, retailers' product listing pages they will most likely lose organic search traffic. And if you do SEO or for an established retail brand, or you are an established retail brand, you know how important branded searches are. A very high share of organic traffic will come from a brand name plus like a product line or a category page, right? So for example, in this presentation, there's Audimas batai or Audimas shoes in English. So these queries will be ranked in the top positions. Right now, they're ranking in the top, most of them in the top 1 positions by the brand online store relevant category or product listing page. And they rank it easily. You don't need a lot of optimization. It's your brand name, it's your query, and your products, your categories are ranking for it. It's pretty much traffic that you historically have owned, and you will you didn't need to optimize it for. But now in the future, it's not going to be like that. It's not so much. So again, going back to this slide, Google is generating, like the AI snapshot is generating a product listing page, like experience in the actual AI snapshot. So with overall, there's a lot of products in the listing and product descriptions, and showing the relevant brand products directly. They're in a clickable product carousel-like format. So here in this example, you can see the query is Nike sneakers, and it's not like the actual products are Nike sneakers, but the actual brand website, Nike, may not be in every result that there is on the product carousel. It may be some of the online stores, some of your distributors, etc., that offer those brand products and that optimize their feeds, their structured data, and optimize SEO well to appear in the SGE AI snapshot. So now a good share of organic traffic will be spread across its own products detail pages, as well as third-party online stores that offer them and optimize well for them. So if anyone is watching and wondering, should I start optimizing something already? The answer is yes. This is the time to prepare and optimize your product detail pages so that they will be used as much as possible in the SGE products listing snippets, and definitely not your brand distributors, right? Distributor sites. So what I mean by that is optimize prices, optimize that you have reviews written in your product pages. If you don't, as much as possible, maybe handwrite them. It's going to be very important, and yeah. So another example for specific longer tail informational queries requiring a more in-depth information, the new SGE tries to summarize directly the steps to take in bullet points. But as you can see below, it's just a featured snippet on steroids. The actual order of the listings, they don't make sense of the points. You won't be fulfilled there, and you will need to go to the organic search results below anyway, and actually to get an actually useful roadmap to learn SEO, as mentioned in the query. So moving on, we talked a lot about when do these SGE snapshots appear, but let's talk about queries they do not appear in. So Google doesn't show SGE for YMYL queries, your money or your life verticals like finance, health, or legal. They don't show every time. So queries like, should you get a personal loan to pay off credit card debt? For example, don't trigger an AI snapshot. However, symptoms for diaper rash triggers an AI snapshot. So I assume Google stays away from giving specific advice for sensitive topics like loans or serious diseases, which are regulated in many countries. You can't simply give advice, and neither can Google. I wasn't able to figure out where the line for YMYL queries is. A query like, can essential oils cure cancer, returns a correct answer and even leverages research papers. But keywords like best credit card for poor credit score or best insurance for car didn't trigger SGE answers. I expect Google to be very careful with giving advice in regulated countries, which is good news for classic organic results. So final verdict. Google SGE has a lot of shortcomings at the moment. Not everything makes sense yet. Some features feel clunky. Maybe some of you tested when Bard first came out. It was not very good. I thought it's going to blow me away, and it didn't. But it's a beta, right? And unrefined features are a signal of just Google trying to get this out as fast as possible, which is critical for them at the moment. I think we can all agree that it's a lot harder for Google to fine-tune AI answers than classic search results. Before AI, Google was able to rearrange snippets and sometimes SERP features, search engine results page features. Now it needs to improve the angle, the presentation, the accuracy, and the diversity of answers, which is a lot more complicated. So I worry, so it will take a few months for this to roll out, definitely, in my opinion. But I worry about long tail searches. For us marketers, it's going to be a big question, because since AI snapshots are much better at answering long tail searches, users might ask Google a lot longer questions, like 5, 6, 7 word questions, and maybe even longer. For example, last week, Bing released voice search for desktop users because, I mean, their AI engine was designed for long tail queries, so it only makes sense. At the same time, Google Search Console already hides a lot of data for long tail queries out of privacy reasons, I guess. And if that dynamic doesn't change, we might see even less data from Google in Google Search Console, maybe even in Google Analytics. So this is another hurdle that Google will have to figure out, because, I mean, if we get 10,000 visitors and we can only see in Google Search Console 2,000 of them, it's going to be a problem. Yeah.
So from what we can see, Google SG is still in its infantry stages, and we should approach this topic with curiosity, but there's still a lot of moving parts and it's not very factual at the moment. Is that right?
Yeah, it's definitely in its early stages, and you should take all of this information with a grain of salt. And the best thing you can do is research for yourself. And at the moment, I mean, it's still a mystery how Google will integrate generative AI into Google search. We have a few examples, but in the end, Google SGE could be entirely different from what we have seen up to this point and what we discussed today. So,
okay. So we extensively talked about Google today. Could you maybe give a comparison with its rival, which is on the rise, Bing AI powered? How is it looking right now in comparison with Google?
Yeah, so comparison. So don't get me wrong here. Both are at a very early stage of development, but Microsoft's Bing is many times further ahead than Google. So just about a month ago, Microsoft introduced Windows Copilot, and which combines the power of ChatGPT, its plugins. I'm not sure how many plugins, but maybe like Link Builder and other, and with Bing Search, right? And it's at its developer conference, it was announced. So users can execute actions, ask questions, and perform searches right in the operating system of Windows with the Copilot. And if quality and speed are good enough, why should users visit another website to search? They can search from the operating system. So in this case, I think Bing is ahead. The bigger opportunity for Google is to break out uh, uh, of Google.com. They don't need to do this AI powered SGE, search generative experience, in Google.com. They can integrate it with Chrome. They can integrate it with Gmail, with YouTube, with Android, other devices, Pixel phones, and all these all of these other properties. Why should users visit Google.com if they could get search in every app they use, right? With their personal assistant. So training generative AI models on user data would open the door for two trends that might have been ahead of their time. So it's personalization and voice search. So assistants like Siri, Alexa, Cortana, or Google Assistant could become like 10, maybe 100 times better with generative AI. Voice search was pretty disappointing in the past, but might become very viable in the near future. Websites website and product personalizations had a big hype around 5-10 years ago, but never made it to a good enough level. Generative AI could gather enough data to understand the context area, to fully personalize user experiences, and especially with connected data streams, data lakes like Microsoft has, they're just ahead. So another, I guess, comparison would be that the challenge for Google, as always, is not killing its advertising marketplace. A colleague of mine said Google won't do anything if they stop making money from ads. So a personal assistant is a much better, it's much better suited for subscriptions than ads, right? You see ChatGPT, you pay a couple of euros a month and you get your AI assistant, which you can chat with, which is why Microsoft is in a much better position to build an integrated SGE assistant. They already lost search to Google, and I'm not confident AI will change that. But Google's weakness is its dependency on ad revenue. Microsoft can innovate much faster in this space because they don't need to make sure search monetizes with ads. So I think Bing definitely has the upper hand at the moment, but I don't know, Google could come back with a huge leap forward in development. Maybe this whole thing will not only be in Google search, but maybe in other integrations as well. So I guess to end off, there weren't a lot of practical things that you could do to prepare for search generative experience. So I just want to, I guess, list a few. So as I mentioned, first, updating your product detail pages with good quality product descriptions, prices, reviews might be very beneficial in the near future. Secondly, improving the quality of your content in general. This means creating content that is informative, engaging, and relevant to your target audience. Thirdly, improving the user experience. So if your website is fast and easy to navigate, it's good. So fourth, making sure your website is mobile friendly, right? Fifth, using SEO best practices. So that's with the help of your knowledge or with the help of SEO specialists. And I guess lastly, just try to keep up to date with the latest news regarding this topic. Again, everything might change in the next few months, but it's important to keep digging, keep finding out new information, because it will affect everybody. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Thank you, Povilas, for reviewing the latest news about this, basically a new product, new search experience that Google is presenting to the world step by step. Thank you for speculating with us today, for sharing your opinions about the future and what's lurking around the corner for us and our businesses. And thank you again for our listeners that joined us today. Stay tuned for our future webinars, and I wish you best of luck with your businesses and your endeavors. Have a nice rest of the day. Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.